Welcome back. It's Thursday at 10 a.m. and you know what that means, Jason?
Good to see you, Mark.
All right, educating the public on why they need to use an experienced realtor.
Yep.
And all things real estate with a little fun as usual.
Well, we're going to talk about, today we're going to talk about getting into the market and why now is the right time with all that's happening with
Certainly.
interest rates and things like that.
Certainly, I think that's a great topic to start in. Rates are still low, and I think they remained unchanged this last week as they were kind of waiting to see what was happening with Trump.
Tomorrow is the FOMC meeting, and it's not likely that they'll raise rates at this time.
Doesn't look like
But
it.
they've said that they're going to throughout the course of the year.
Well, let's just talk about, the topic that we were discussing earlier is you're
The Raiders.
paying somebody's...
Oh, I thought we better cover that.
The Raiders were going to come to San Diego if we were to build a stadium. If we were to build a stadium, then San Diego would have stayed in San Diego, unless the big ploy was to get rid of the Chargers and Spanos.
First, we're going to get this off the table. The Raiders situation.
It looks bleak over there in Vegas.
Well, it doesn't look like Vegas is going to happen. Both Goldman Sachs and Edelson pulled out. So now San Diego actually does become a reality.
Yeah, Goodell said if they went ahead and paid for or built a stadium, then in fact we'd have the opportunity to, maybe get another stadium.
Well, the interesting thing is, reading the blogs, I thought, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see what the Charger fans are going to say about the Raiders coming to San Diego, and 90% of it was positive.
Yeah,
they're like, yeah, they want to shove it in Spanos' face.
I think we definitely wanted to have a football team here in San Diego. We don't want to not have that. And then we talk about all the people at Qualcomm Stadium, like the vendors and the salesmen and the food, people and all the guys that are out there working it. There's like 1,000 jobs that are being lost because of this.
More than that.
And yeah, for sure. And hopefully they can go ahead and get some more venues going and make up for that missed income. But let's jump right back into, because I think the topic, as we discussed, was about home ownership and the importance to it, and it is huge. I mean, there's so many misconceptions about getting into a long-term commitment, and I don't want to tie myself down. What if I move? How do I operate? I don't have the money. Well, I'll wait till next year. I mean, constantly I see a guy every other day. I see a guy at the same place that I shop, and I always talk to him about buying a house. And he's always, I'm waiting for this, I'm waiting for that. Oh, I thought about buying last year, but now, I'm going to wait till next year. And it just seems like waiting and waiting and waiting. And that just, brought this attention to this particular topic, I think. And it's like, why wait? Like, what are you waiting for? You're paying for your landlord's mortgage, okay? You want to create wealth for your landlord? You want to create wealth for the guy that you're renting from? You're paying rent each month. That money is going into their pocket or going to pay for their loan, and you're helping, create that leverage, the strength, and getting that, equity position there for the landlord and his family rather than you and your family. And that's why you need to think about it.
Let's talk about why do people hesitate? And because a lot of it has to do with the fear of the unknown. They're comfortable where they're at. And they don't know that they can accomplish it because they haven't sat down with a professional to look at all of the options that they have. And this also is a behavior that I've seen, particularly with first-time buyers and now with millennials. It's that they think that there's something around the corner that is going to happen that's going to cause prices to come down, or there's going to be a better opportunity. And it doesn't get better just because you want it to. There are factors. And the factors right now are indicating to us that the market, because of a lack of inventory, is not going down anytime soon.
Well, I mean,
it's not going to get better.
Yeah. I think in the first-time buyer, segment, I don't know that they look at all those factors. I think the main concern is initially, I don't have the money to buy a home. I'm renting at this point. I'm on a fixed income.
Average wedding in San Diego costs $37,000.
But let's just back up for a second. Here's the thought. Okay, I don't have the money to buy. I make $5,000 a month less, taxes and my contribution for my insurance and my 401k, and I'm paying $1,800 a month, or $18,000 for the year, $1,600 a month, and I haven't had the ability to save money. Yeah, and that's a one-bedroom, by the way.
Yeah, because our average rent's
but they haven't been able to put the money together. But we know that FHA, the Federal Housing Administration, will allow you to buy a house with as little as 3.5% down. And what does that translate to? On a $350,000 property, it's a little over $10,000. Now, they will accept a gift from a family member, a gift from a friend. You can, borrow against your 401k. You can deduct it from your 401k, and you have 60 days to put the money back. There are so many things that you can do, and use what you have already built to your advantage to get in there, because 3.5% is really nothing. And certainly if you have the ability to go ahead and generate that money, we can have the seller pay your closing costs, and now you're into a property that after your tax break is going to equate to less money than you're paying for rent, while you're building that equity position and starting to create that leverage that you need, right?
Well, what needs to be understood is if you are getting ready to buy a home, take it as serious as it is. Sit down with a professional and look at what the options that are available. Because, yeah, the FHA is a great program for first-time buyers. It allows for 3.5%. That's not a cost. 3.5% is an equity position in the property. But you have another 3% roughly in cost. So you have to have an experienced agent that knows how to go out and write that contract and negotiate it and get that covered. If you can get into a property that's worth $300,000-$400,000 with less than $10,000, that's truly an equity position, you have done wonders in the investment world. It's called leverage. You now control that investment. If that investment appreciates, even 3-4%, you got in for 10 grand.
Right. So strategy really matters in this case, and
Absolutely.
It isn't like all of a sudden, hey, wow, I'm going to go buy a house, especially if I'm in a position where I have little or no money and I got to be careful and I'm rate sensitive. So rate sensitive means that as the rates increase, then all of a sudden I'm paying this, more money for the same property, or I'm buying less of a home for the money I can afford. So that's why it's critical to move now. Yeah, absolutely. And so that's why it's important to be with a professional. Jason Hall, myself, Mark Schwartz. You got to go to that RE/MAX office. We're in La Jolla. We cover San Diego. But most importantly, one of our guys from Pure Mortgage, who we want to thank, for helping us bring this to you. These guys are awesome, and they'll go ahead and qualify you and get you prepared.
Not any cost associated with it?
Absolutely, and there's no cost to talking to us. And why not talk to the best person that's available to you when it doesn't cost you anything? Get that experience behind you, get the ammo. We talk about later in the show, some of the reasons why you need to have a guy that has been there before, that's actually swung that club, as we say 1,000 times. But more importantly, understanding what you can afford, budgeting it out, and sitting with a lender who's experienced and setting that program together for you, and then yes, allowing us to get out there and negotiate that deal, generate those closing costs, have the lender help participate. There are so many ways of getting it done. I think the first issue with people right now is, I can't afford to buy a house, but you can afford. It's time to get creative. It's time to sit down and draw that out.
Those tax benefits are, so that you understand
what
your rent
not to
is.
Own a home.
If you're in Claremont and you're renting a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home, you're paying probably close to right around, wouldn't you say, $2,500?
For sure, $2,500.
If you're earning the average income in San Diego, as a two-income earning family, now you're talking about an additional $800 to $1,000 probably in tax benefits that you get every month. So now that rental is not $2,400 or $2,500, it's $3,500, and that's more than you're going to pay to buy a $400,000 house.
Right, now, so translate that. Let's just use that Claremont house. It's a median home price of about $500,000, maybe $525,000. If you were able to put 20% down, borrow off your 401k, you've owned a home before, you have some equity you can put down, or you've managed to save that money, then that payment on your mortgage plus taxes and insurance for the home will actually be at or less than your rental amount without the tax benefit. Throw the tax benefit in there, and you're now in that house for $1,600 or $1,700 instead of $2,500
But so
a
when
month.
you are
it's
out there
ridiculous.
and you're thinking to
absolutely
yourself
ridiculous.
that
Shake yourself.
that you can wait for a better day or something's coming down the road, the real world works in technical ways. It's based on economic conditions in our country and around the globe these days. There is nothing on the horizon, and there's not enough inventory in San Diego that says it's going to get
You brought up a
cheaper.
huge point. If it isn't the right time to buy, if you don't have what it takes to get it done, then we're going to set you up on a roadmap to success and make a plan to get you where you need to be. We encourage you to buy now because interest rates are low and the market is presenting great opportunities for a buyer, and you'll see inventory continue to increase. We have low inventory right now, but I'm getting automated notifications every 3 minutes that a new listing's come on the market. So where there were 50 homes on the market in Carmel Valley and there are now 63. Well, if you translate to, that's a 20% increase in inventory in a week. Okay, so you can see right now that more buying opportunities are going to present themselves, and buyers are going to have a little bit more leverage at that point, slowly shifting to a buyer's market from a seller's market. But
We,
still a
as in
strong
San Diego,
seller's market right
as you well know, because of our geographical position with Camp Pendleton, the ocean, the desert, and Mexico, builders and regulatory issues, even if all the regulations got stripped back tomorrow, there's not enough immediate inventory that's going to cause the market to go down in 2017. It's just not going to happen. Besides the fact that the type of properties that they're going to go to building probably for starters for first-time buyers are likely to be condos and townhomes. And that's just, something that's not a bad choice.
No.
If you want a single-family home right now, you better grab it.
Yeah, look, it's a matter of location. And you may be working in an area, or your kid goes to school in a certain area, and you're limited to where you can go. But clearly, you can buy a condominium for $400,000 in a coastal area, where you can buy a single-family house if you go a little farther east. And that's a decision that needs to be made. But certainly buying and getting into the market is very important for a long-term strategy. I mean, you cannot save money as fast as a home will appreciate long-term. You just look at the last 50 years of growth, and although it's gone up and down, it's always gone up. And that's why it's very important to get into a situation where you're not going to be behind the gun, where it's going to cost more to stay there than you can afford to. You need to be sitting down with a professional, guys at Pure Mortgage, us at Remax Associates, Jason and myself. Contact us through Facebook or the Real Deal Show website. We'll get you our phone numbers later in the show as well. If you have an issue with credit, our guy at Mr. Credit, Derek, is amazing at getting you prepared for the buying process. So if you don't think you have the money and you don't think you have the credit right now, then sit down with us and we're going to go ahead and explain.
Not everybody qualifies today. Most people actually need some form of work or assistance.
Let's cover
have a pro do it.
Right, absolutely, and it doesn't cost you anything to sit down. But let's talk about the next reason why somebody might not be in the market, and I think it has to do with witnessing what's taken place maybe in this short sale market. I mean, you and I have seen a short sale market come and go 3 times in our experience, and we certainly know that they come and they go. And it's a trend, and it goes with the market. Again, it's very important to lock in a low rate and know exactly what you're dealing with long term. Hey, if I had to stay here, I'm okay, right?
Well, I mean, if this mentality, and this is not something you hear every day from a realtor, don't sell your first property. And be realistic. This is not likely to be the last home you'll ever own, because your life's going to change. Things change. You have a family, you have kids. So what you need to do is get into the market and consider this property your future retirement. If you can pay it off in less than 30 years and keep the property as a rental property, you'll be doing one of the best things you can possibly do for your financial future.
Okay. So you brought up another point. You're going to go ahead and get into a primary residence, which you may or may not stay at for more than 2 to 5 years. And after that time frame, you want to be locked into a fixed low rate as they are right now, so that you can keep that property as a rental. Some people might need to buy, need that money to buy a new home, need that equity, and certainly that's why you do it, because you're thinking forward. But if you have the ability to keep that property and move on to your next, you want to do that for, obviously you have a 401k, you have a stock investment, you go ahead and put together your real estate portfolio, which should be a huge chunk of your portfolio, because we know that real estate, there's always been, money paid for homes. No home has ever gone for zero, right?
That's right.
But we've seen stocks go for nothing, right? We've seen stocks not produce income or dividends. A home will always produce income because you can rent it out and cover your nut if you need to.
You started off by talking about the fear factor, and maybe they've watched their parents go through or friends go through difficult times during the financial crisis. But things are really different today because people are using much larger down payments. The subprime loans are gone, And a lot of the properties in San Diego, the single-family properties, got bought by hedge funds. So there isn't this big group of mysterious, bank-owned properties that are getting ready to come on the market. So the conditions, the inventory situation isn't likely to get much better than it is now.
Right.
But interest rates are likely to get worse. So if you can get this mindset, you're not selling tomorrow. If you're buying today, you're not selling tomorrow.
Right.
If you don't have that mentality that I'm going to lose money because, if you're going to live in the property for a year and you need to sell, then don't buy.
Right. The issue that you just brought up is you can't look at what your home is worth every day.
No.
If you're living there long term, it's
Especially
like
if
not
you
watching
use
your
Zillow.
stock portfolio. Yeah, exactly. And so really what needs to happen is it's long-term thinking. You're buying as an investment. It's a strategy to hold on to it long-term. Life changes, things take place. You want to be able to, hold that property if you needed to, rent it out. While you're going on with your life, you can always come back to it or use it, like you said, as leverage. One of the things that I always advise a client of mine that just had a baby was buy an investment property. In 18 years.
Kid through school.
18 years, yeah, that loan could be zero. You're going to have income each month. The appreciation over 18 years, you're going to pay for college, buy a business, and move into a home you already own, sell it, and move where you want. I mean, it's just ridiculous how easy it is.
Yeah.
It's just get over that fear. Get over the fear of inquiring and finding out where you're at. Don't be
liberating.
afraid.
If you're buying a property for a kid, it's a great idea.
Right.
Right. So that's a property that one day you could use the equity in it. You could use the monthly rent. But now, if you don't have to sit there and think about it every day, and you're not selling, it's kind of like how people use gold as an investment. You don't really buy gold to turn around and try to sell the next day unless that's what you do for a profession. You buy it to hold it.
You buy it because it's a secure investment.
Yeah, and it
doesn't fluctuate as much
something
as
you're probably holding on for your kids or something, but it's not something
it's just a way of converting wealth into something that's always maintained value.
The disadvantage is that you don't get the benefits of the huge leverage opportunities you have with real estate, but it's the same principle.
There is no other investment where you can pay that loan down. You can take advantage of some incredible tax breaks, closing costs, interest deductions, improvements on the property, and take advantage of the appreciation. So you have an appreciating asset that's giving you immediate and direct tax benefits, and you or your tenant is buying that loan down. There's just no way to lose in that situation. Yeah. And so yes, you have to be responsible. Yes, you have to make sure you get yourself into a situation that makes sense, that's affordable, or you have a way to cover the nut if you needed to rent it out. Of course. That's why it's very important to talk to a professional. We're not out there just trying to, do a transaction. And we're relationship-based realtors. We want to work with you and your family and your friends and referrals. We're in it for you to win it. And I think that's the difference that you and I always talk about. The money's a byproduct of us, helping you succeed. And we got our license to help the public, get into real estate and to protect buyers and sellers. We didn't get our license to, go make money. The money's a byproduct
it's
of it.
It's a byproduct
That's the difference.
of protecting the consumer. But, let's talk a little bit about, how a buyer really needs to arm themselves for going out into a marketplace with realistic expectations. You can't do that until you've sat down and understand what you're financially capable of. And then you need to be realistic about the marketplace, the market that you're going into. If you're buying in a good area, which of course location is important, you're probably still going to see multiple offers for a better part of this year. So it really becomes important to be realistic about what you qualify for, and then don't make this mistake. Don't let the house pick the agent for you. You want the best representation you possibly can because you're heading into competition.
You brought up another.
It's almost like a sport.
Absolutely. So who would you rather have punch it in the end zone than someone who has scored multiple touchdowns, has had years of success, won awards,
over 50
has
years.
Done 50 combined years, multiple transactions, billions of dollars spent on dollar volume, thousands of transactions, and helped thousands of buyers, than than somebody who has just entered the game, a rookie, a freshman, somebody who's never had a game. Now, that being said, there are new agents that are very smart and they know to go get help when they need to get help.
Everybody has to start somewhere.
Absolutely. There are guys, and as long as they're being mentored by experienced realtors that care, that are looking out for their success, and you can ask a couple of questions to do that. Right. You'll meet a new agent. I'm working on this team with so-and-so. You can look them up and see that they have that track record, and you can feel more secure about it rather than a guy who's just hung his ticket. He's out winging it to make a couple of bucks.
But your agent really, really counts, especially in that multiple offer situation, because buyers need to understand what's a seller and what's a seller's agent looking for. Certainly price is a component, price and terms, but with such a high fallout rate, it being higher than 30% right now, they're looking for people that will close escrow and get it done. So is your agent that person? Are they a person that is known for that? If there are 10 offers on the property, is your offer going to be at the bottom of the pile or the top?
Yeah, let's start over. So real estate has created 99% of the millionaires and billionaires out there have participated in, whether it was residential, commercial, industrial real estate.
All the above.
And yes, and getting the income, getting the appreciation, buying those loans down. 99% of all millionaires. Let's just stop right there. So if you want to be in the 1%, you still have a chance, but you might as well go where it works best.
Well, so one of the reasons there, Mark, is think about it. Go back to your job and look at what the person that went before you, how fast did their pay go up? Because we have had wage stagnation for quite a while now. It's picking up a little bit, but your income is not going to keep up with the inflation that happens in the housing market when you have a lack of inventory. So you're going to get outrun.
Right. You're thinking about your future. It's the plumber who buys homes, has 5 rental properties, paying themselves off. I love the firemen that, work 10 days and they're off for the month. They buy investment property and they have, a huge portfolio and they get income produced. Guys that were buying property in the 70s, I mean, there's no reason why you can't buy now, and your kids will look back, be like, yeah, my parents were buying properties in the year 2010 when it's 2040. I mean, you got to have housing. People need a place to live. It will always go up. Get over the fear, sit down with a pro, find out how you can make it happen, if and when you can make it happen, and make that determination like, hey, man, I'm ready to enter in to the arena of creating wealth for myself, man. Like, let's get this done.
Hey, but here's another, and this just happened, so I thought I'd bring it up today. In a transaction that I'm participating in, the person that is buying the property that I have listed was living in a property that they were renting, and apparently the property had been foreclosed on. Well, guess who showed up at the door one day and demanding that they pay that party rent because they didn't believe that the foreclosure. So this guy basically is knocking on their door going, you owe me
Guaranteed.
money. And there's a big fight, and they have to get out of the property. Well, that happens a lot, and that's a horrible thing to have happen. And that doesn't happen when you're a homeowner and you're making your payments. You're not going to get thrown out of your property without any notice.
It's not even thrown out. Things change.
Things change.
People will come to a point where they're ready to sell their home and take that money and run. And you're subject
to
the owners.
You're going to have to go leave.
Right, and then you got to go find another place. It's just how settled do you want to be, right? And how secure do you want to be? And how much leverage do you want to create? And